Hey everyone, it's Xant. So, the Spacefaring pirate event has just gone up. Let's cover all the new stuff that got added and talk about it. So, as I always do with these videos, we're going to start off looking at the welfare machine, then we're going to move into the gacha machines, and then finish off with the pilots. So, let's take a look here. Pirate Coin Exchange. Crossbone Gundam. Okay, for a head, it has rather low shot attack, okay? Head-mounted Vulcan, so the head's effect literally just a write-off there. It has arguably the worst DX skill in the game, and the stats don't really do anything for it. The chest. Beam gun. I should probably max value that. Launch rapid-fire beam gun shots from your torso. You can move while firing. DB. The spread on that's kind of, well, not kind of, it's low. Okay. The armor value's oddly high for a welfare, but it's not really that big of a deal. Okay, the arms. Oh, come on. Cool. Okay, so okay melee attack for a welfare, but nothing very outstanding, and penetrating super armor. Honestly, I say this every time I see super armor come up. It's interesting. It's definitely a gimmick that you can play on if you want to, but I don't think, personally anyways, I don't think it's going to be very viable in Arena, which is really the only time you're going to see much use from this. For one, the part that you usurp for this ability, you're gimping your stat pool for chance to pen super armor. If it was guaranteed pen, then maybe. Just maybe. But with only a small percent chance, 12, it's just not, it's not really that great. Legs, you also have a skill on you. Oh yeah, the heat daggers, aight. A-D. Okay, so that's actually a pretty good spread for a welfare. Raise your melee attack as well. Unfortunately, that's a very low modifier. So, I'm gonna say purely in the pool of welfares. So in a vacuum, that's a pretty good set of legs. But in the greater scope of things, it's very lackluster compared to other parts that are available. And when I say welfare, I purely mean stuff from event shops. I'm not talking arena or whatnot, because we've had parts in the arena that give much higher boosts than this that you can also EX10 rather easily. So purely in the pool of event parts, it's pretty okay. We've had other parts as well, I think, from events that do more or less the same thing as well. Okay. The backpack. Vernier comes, okay, that's... Yep, nope, Vernier to me is not very useful. Don't know how useful it is for anyone, honestly. Okay, and the stats are meh. Alright, come on, Zanba, you look cool, right? Yeah, you actually do look pretty cool. Alright, stats. Ooh. Okay. So that's actually relatively high melee attack for a welfare. Like, that's really high for a welfare. And your EX skill power is boosted if you're a technique. Okay. Neat, I guess. Okay, so I'd say that beam sword's actually pretty cool. Nothing I'd go out of my way for, but it is a pretty cool part. The weapon has rebake tier shot attack on it, and the beam range. Why would you do that? Why would you give it such criminally low shot attack and then just add insult to injury by making the trait reload speed? Like, at least make it focus on something melee related, right? Whatever. And the cloak. That's actually a really cool shield, I gotta say. I think I might get that just for the aesthetic value of it, because that's a really cool way to do a shield. In case you weren't aware, though, they did put out a notice saying that the physics related to the heat rod and the cloak are a little buggy right now. So just something to keep in mind when you're doing this. There's no, at least to my knowledge, no note of when they're planning on fixing it. So you're just going to have to deal with it, I guess, so to speak. Okay. And pretty okay stats, actually, for a shield. Now, something I do have to address are the word tags on this. I know I typically completely ignore word tags when I do these videos, But this suit definitely seems primed towards melee based on the very high melee attack spread on the weapon, and it comes with Pro Tag and Close Combat, both of which boost melee attack by a significant chunk. And the reason that's important is because every single part from this machine gives both of those. Most melee fighters, or I should say most people that use melee suits, might want to look into this machine to find parts that they may want to replace on their machine for those word tags, because that's a very good combination of word tags for melee fighters in particular, and also being able to find a shield that has, relatively decent stats that brings those same tags to the table, I think is really cool, especially since it's not gacha. Anyways, neither here nor there. Yep, standard capsule, and ooh, I like those emblems. Those are pretty cool. Okay. So, at the end of the day here, looking over the entire suit, I don't think any part is very amazing in particular. I like the aesthetics of the cloak. I think the word tags are useful, and, it's just two really good melee boosting tags packed together. But, again, don't replace high statted parts for word tags, because the last thing you want to do is lose out on, 1100 melee attack for a 5% boost overall, because chances are you've probably lost more stats than you've gained. And I like the Beam Zanba as a melee weapon for welfare. It's not the best, but it is still powerful. One thing to remember though is that we do get premium material, and we can pick our weapons, so unless you're planning on getting other parts and you lack a melee weapon too, there's really no need to pick it up, unless you like the way it looks. Whatever floats your boat. Anyways, let's move on to the gacha stuff, because that's always important. Okay. Astaroth. Okay, so stats on it are kind of Physical range weapon reload speed boost. Okay. Those word tags look very similar. Okay. Cool. Chest. With blade category, EX skill damage output boosted. Okay. Decent armor spec out. Neither of those parts are very amazing though. I'd put them at a very middling tier. The arms come with a built-in shield. Not really surprised. Yep, sub knuckles, okay. Reduced physical resist by percent, B plus D spread, and okay melee attack. It's not worth really going for these, honestly. They're cool, they have good stats on them, and yeah, if you lack parts, sure, but it's nothing mind-blowing, per se. The legs, knife attack. Okay, stats are pretty okay for legs, yeah. B plus D. We've seen that a dozen times under different names, so there's really nothing standout about those. The backpack, the demolition knife, the conifer. Attack the enemy. Okay, there's no buffs or anything. B plus D. Wow, that is lame. Low cooldown though. Low cooldown. So at least there's that going for it. Because other than that, that's B plus D spread with no buff trait attached to it. That's just... ouch. Ouch. Okay. What else we got? Oh, the whole dang thing. Oh, okay, so it's actually rather up there in terms of melee attack. Okay. I think the next, air quote, tier for melee attack is at the, 3,900 range. So that's pretty good, actually, for a melee weapon. Melee crit rate? Not really worth it. Okay. And the rifle. Okay. Shot attack, criminally low, and shooting damage taken reduced. Okay, so if you are building a melee suit, this gun, if you have a blade, is going to be pretty useful for you, as any way to reduce incoming damage from shooters as a melee unit is going to be pretty convenient. Downside is, it requires the blade category, which not everyone has right now, but you will have access to it rather easily with the premium materials. It's cool, but I don't think it really brings enough to really warrant, forcing yourself to roll for. But, what I think I'll do, I'll take a look at that in a moment. I think what I'll do is when I redo my premium material parts video, I'll take a look at what weapons rank really high for the melee weapon category and see if there's any blade types in there. And if there are, I may look into this weapon as being a viable placement for melee machines, because there really isn't a great option in that department, but we'll see. Alright, and the anti-material sniper rifle, which, okay, so you're gonna look me in the eye, game, and you're gonna tell me that a colossal sniper rifle like that has terrible shot attack. That's the game you're playing. Okay. Wow. Wow. When attacking with physical special shot... No, when attacking with physical special shot crit rate boost, it's not really a big deal. Especially not with shot attack specs like that. You're gimping yourself out of thousands of shot attack for that. It's not worth it at all. So overall, I'd say the entire Astaroth is pretty much a write-off. None of the parts really stand out in terms of specs except for the two weapons, the demolition knife and the gun. Other than that, everything else is very mediocre at best. Yeah. The knife is okay. Nothing I'd really go out of the way to get. If this is your first gacha though, and you obtain it via reroll, it is extremely high statted for what it is. So, you know, good tags, I guess, too. The gun, it's a very lame gun, I think is the best way to word it. Low attack and everything, but it may be useful for melee machines. May being a very key word in all of this, as you require a blade weapon to make it actually count. So we'll talk about the beginning Gundam. Okay, so the head has okay shot attack. Yep, Vulcan case, another write-off. What else do we got here? The chest, when armor is 60% or more, EX skill CD reduced. Okay, cool. So that's actually a very universal part, as it doesn't require anything crazy or like attributes or whatnot. It's just a very straightforward, if you're not busted down and broken, your skill CD is reduced. Unfortunately, as 20% is the highest cap, that means the initial percent is going to be excessively low. I think it's going to be in like the 7 to 8 range or something like that. So not very useful at all until you get it to a much higher EX level, like 6 or 7. And by that point, you're wailing, and I don't think it's really worth it. Outsider job, melee power boost. Okay, that's a good trait. Okay. Outfighter and infighter, to my knowledge, both boost your melee attack by the same percentage value once you've applied the job license. So it purely comes down to how the AI reacts and some minor changes to gameplay based on the job license. But that's a very easy to accomplish task, and there are some outfighters with some very high damage stats on them, so that's good. And yeah, the arms actually are okay in terms of the melee attack department, nothing crazy, but being able to have, I think out of the box, 30% is something like 17? I think that's 17% base. So you're losing about, I guess the highest statted arms, which I think are like 3.5k, you're losing something like, 800 in terms of raw numbers, and then the boost you're going to get is, let's say, 17 or whatever, so that's bumping you up to only losing about half that value, for somewhere around 400, I think it's like 360 or something? No. So that's actually not that bad. Arms with over 3,000 after its own part trait is kicked into effect, and it gives you a % flat boost to your actual melee stat. I think that's pretty good. There are better arms, like the Barbados arms, for example. Actually, let me double check. Okay, so these are effectively the Barbados arms. The difference is it's outfighter instead of infighter. So what that boils down to is if your pilot is an outfighter and not an infighter, you want these arms. Vice versa, you want the Barbados arms. One could make the argument that because the Barbados arms do not have an attached shield, those are technically still better, in which case I would agree. as being able to slot an extra item like a shield means that there's an extra trait in your inventory, so to speak, and another source of word tags. Alternatively, if you have something like the unicorn shield or the wind shield, it's another source of extra stats for you offensively. So I would still say that the Barbados arms in general are better, but in the scenario where you only have an outfighter pilot, these arms will most likely be up your alley. That's pretty good, actually. Something that actually made me question the Barbados arms, which are considered by most people to be best in slot for melee fighters. Okay. Force field, shot defense. So this is a defensive style. Oh, and you get a flinch resist. Cool. 51 seconds awakening. Bog standard. Okay. So this may be useful for a melee fighter, as this means you can get up real close and real personal to someone that's using a shot machine, and you don't have to worry about them shooting you and interrupting you. Which I personally think is pretty convenient. But anyways, and because of its duration of 51 seconds, pretty much after the first 12 seconds of combat, you have a free license to just engage. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. But from my understanding, it doesn't resist flinching for the entire duration. It probably resists it only for the first few seconds or whatever. So I'll take some experimentation, honestly, but I still think that's a pretty cool part. I don't think it's better than the red astray legs with bisect though, so that's to consider. Backpack, IFS unit combo. So we attack with an AD skill, and we get shot attack up and beam resist up. Okay. I'm gonna say, with the amount of competition that the backpack slot has, as cool as this is, there is better. Obviously, there's always going to be better in the backpack department because, that's just the way this game works. But yeah, I still think this is a pretty good back. I do not recommend, wailing for it or anything like that. But it's still a good part if you do happen to get it while you're rolling for a shot. So, pretty cool. Pretty cool. The Beam Saber. What is this? Ah, yes, it's army worth of Beam Sabers, is it? 15% chance of pen super, okay. And it has actually a relatively high melee attack too. Cool. Cool. Unfortunately, due to the fact that its trait is going to be, to say it bluntly, completely useless until you get it up to a decent EX level, you're going to be mainly getting this for the stats. And the stats are good, don't get me wrong, but there are other beam sword weapons with this type of stat that have better traits or skills on them. So, or I guess lower attack, but better EX skills and higher stats and better traits and all that, blah blah blah. Anyways, they're not bad parts, they're not great parts, nothing that really makes me turn my head. And the last part, are we gonna just get our minds blown? No, it's the rebake. Cool. I don't like how red that is. That is a really red part on that beam rifle. Holy crap. Initial EX skill charge boost. Okay. Not really that good. Okay, so based on the entire beginning 30, I'm going to say the parts that actually made me turn my head in this entire setup are the arms, which I'm not going to say fully rival the Barbados after a little bit of thinking it over, but they're definitely up there. Outfighter instead of infighter, so more accessibility available, but the trade-off is you lose your shield slot, which could be used for much greater things than what this arm really offers you. But a good start, I guess. And really nothing else stands out. The legs are pretty cool, but for melee fighters, you pretty much just want bisect on the red astray legs. It's just the best there is. So unless this was some crazy ability, it's cool for melee fighters. Maybe put this on a support machine, but if you have a support melee machine, you're going to be wanting to slap the red astray legs on that too. So if you have a pure support machine, someone that just exists to throw out auras and things like that, actually wait, never mind, that's completely useless because this isn't an ally buff, this is just a self buff. So yeah, no, it's cool, but red astray legs just beat it out, doesn't matter. The backpack, again, it looks cool, but there's just better available for the backpack slot. Actually, I think the Dynamis back does the exact same thing, Except it's an awakening instead of a very short buff, which these tend to be. They're not like, the 50-second awakenings. So, yeah, especially with that huge initial cooldown, even at max, 20 seconds. Oh, man. Yeah. It's okay. Like, it's an okay suit. It has some really cool parts. I'd say out of all of them, though, the arms are the standout piece. Okay, well, it's not that bad, I guess. The Astaroth is pretty much just toast, but yeah, at least there were some pretty neat parts on the other one. Now, Baldwin's a 4-star, and what about his accomplice there, Lila? Okay, she's a 3-star. I just want to make sure I know what the star rarities are, because I didn't really check the announcement. I don't want to be judging her based on 4-star stats or whatever if she's a 3-star. Okay, well, hey, doing better than Iron Mask. Alright, so she's a, mid-shooter? Okay specs. Projectile speed boost, which is practically useless. Okay. Yeah, she's a pretty solid 3-star. Nothing crazy. We have other pilots that have over 1k as 3 stars, so she's okay. Oh, another 1600 melee, and wow, defender. Cool. Some people were saying that he'll probably be defender based on his role in the anime series. It seems they were right. When armor is 60% or more. Ooh, all power boost. So that's cool. We had this, I think it was 2 gaches ago with another pilot. Can't remember the name for the life of me. So that's actually a really cool trait. That immediately makes his value just skyrocket, because not only does he have a top tier offensive spec on melee, but he also just all power boosted by a percent as well. So if you get him, you're off to the races. Just remember, he is a defender, so you are going to be losing some percentages on your melee outspec. I believe the other pilot we had that had the same trait was an infighter or an outfighter, which means you'll get the extra stats. So I guess it's kind of a trade-off you got to make for that power boost. Pretty cool pilot though. I like that. I like that a lot. That's actually, yeah, that's a good direction to take. Okay. Well, with that, I've gone over all the new content that was added into the game. Now, I guess it's time to do a little self-shilling. It's been quite a few videos since I did it. If you enjoy my content, you want to see more, and you kind of want to help the channel grow, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, like if you want to. Yeah, I'll make another video, I think, before the weekend hits. Not sure about what. I can figure something. Oh, you know what? I think I know what I'm going to make a video on. Anyways, peace out, guys. I'll see you in the next video.